going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing some records that I picked up recently at some record stores within Haddon Township here in New Jersey. I did not see myself making a video on my finds, but once it started to rack up and also how amazing these finds were, I felt that doing a standalone video would do absolute justice to what I got, so that is exactly what I am doing for you guys today with this video. This all occurred rather recently. My best friend and I, we were both off from work, and we decided to take it upon ourselves to take a little drive to an area that we hadn't really seen much of before, and so we settled on the Haddonfield, Collingswood area. I had been in that area many times, mainly to see shows at the beautiful Scottish Rite Auditorium, but in terms of shopping downtown and seeing what was there, I hadn't really done that before, as well as my friends, so we decided to just take in the sights. And of course, with any new spot that we check out, we always make sure that we visit some record stores, mainly for my sake. And so it's funny how all of these towns kind of blend into each other. There's like Collingswood, then there's Westmont, and then there's Haddonfield, and then that turns into other areas within like Haddon Township. So the first store that we stopped at was a place called Fidelity Records that was located in Westmont. And I did not really, have any expectations. I didn't really do any research in terms of what their selection was like. It was just kind of like, let's just go and see what's there. Now, when I walked in, I heard Summer 68 playing over the speakers, and that's from the Pink Floyd album Atom Heart Mother. So just by hearing that, I thought that this was going to be an indication of what was to come. So the first spot that I went to was the A section, and I think in general for any record store that's where you start. And I literally picked up the first thing that was in that A section, and I just looked at this thing and I said, how in the hell is this thing here in a record store for $15? That's right, $15 this record was. I would suspect that a value for this record would be rather high, but who knows? I don't know if the record store didn't know, or someone that was just bringing it in to trade in had no clue what it was. It is this album here. This is AC/DC Rarities. So a little story behind this. Back in 2009, the band released the Backtracks box set, which brought together tracks that were not available internationally, just in Australia, along with a lot of non-album B-sides and a lot of live B-sides. Comes with DVDs of like music videos from like the 90s onwards. Really, really nice set. I have the condensed 2 CD 1 DVD version. There was a big super duper deluxe set that included everything with an actual amplifier that was kind of built into the box, and it even came with this LP here with the main standout studio rarity tracks that were released only in Australia or were just a B-side. So with this thing, you get things like Stick Around and Love Song, which are off of the first, I think it was the High Voltage album that came out only in Australia. You get things like Big Gun, which was a single from, I think it was a film soundtrack in the mid-90s. Cold Hearted Man, Crab City in Blue, stuff from like Let There Be Rock and Power Ridge area. So this LP is only available within that box, and I was suspicious on it at first. I thought that it could have been like a counterfeit or was a pirated release, but it's in a polyline sleeve, and I see the U in the dead wax, which means that it was pressed at United, and I saw the RJ for Ray Janos, who mastered it, so I knew it was official. Comes with the Australian Albert Productions label there. So literally someone stripped this from the box, and this store managed to still sell it when I got there. So this was an absolutely crazy, crazy find to have. And like I said, for only $15, this was a must-own. So this really kicked things off very, very nicely. AC/DC Rarities. And then I continued to flip through, and then I came across this record, and this is one that I have encountered many, many times. The local record store near where I live, the Rock Shop in Mays Landing, had a copy of it. I almost purchased a copy from Discogs, and I almost bought the black vinyl version at my store, the FYE that I work at, because it was on sale. Then I get my discount on top of that. And I've seen this at a couple other record stores that I've been to recently. And I just figured, you know what? I've seen this so many times, and as of right now, it's still readily available, even though it is marketed as limited. I figured I might as well just go for it now while the moment was hot, and also I was really excited for the AC/DC album, so I was just picking up anything and everything. This is the reissue of the Metallica 598 Garage Days Revisited EP. Features 5 cover tracks. This came out before Injustice for All, so this was the first release with newly acquired bassist at the time, Jason Newsted. This is the independent record store edition, which comes on orange vinyl, which looks very, very nice. Mastered by Chris Bellman, pressed at Palace. An overall great product, and I just figured, since I've seen it so many times, and here I was acquiring one and seeing it out in the wild, I figured I might as well go for it. And it also does come with a download code as well. And also the tracks on this are also available on the Garage Inc. album, which came out in the late 90s. But I figured having a standalone version with this artwork and everything was an absolute must-own, so I'm very happy to have this. And then I came across this one, and I figured for a band that I'm still growing my collection of, I don't know if you can say it's a deep cut album, but it's right before the band really hit its stride. This is Thin Lizzy Fighting, a great album from these guys back in the 70s. You get things like Rosalie, Suicide, King's Vengeance, just great kick-ass early Thin Lizzy stuff with the classic lineup. So you have Brian Downey, of course, on the drums, Scott Gorham on guitar, Phil Lynott, and also Brian Robertson. Just absolute great stuff. Comes on standard black vinyl, and it includes the kind of space looking Vertigo label there. Looks great. Sorry for the glare. So I was very, very satisfied with those 3 records from Fidelity Records in Westmont. And then we just went up the street a little bit, and we found ourselves within Haddonfield. And I've seen the store pop up a couple times, and that was the Haddonfield Record Exchange. So I had the opportunity to talk to the owners that were running the place. They've had it for a couple years. Very nice husband and wife. They're just really enthusiastic about their business, and they're just kind of giving it a shot and just seeing how it goes. Their selection was fantastic. A lot of collectibles, not in just terms of vinyl, but just other music-related stuff. Like I saw all of the Kiss Psycho Circus action figures there for like $20 a piece, and I'm like, whoa. But like then again, for myself, like if I was maybe 10 years old, I would have bought them, but now not so much. I have no idea where I'm going to put them. And they had a lot of box sets and books and such. And speaking of box sets, of course, anytime I go out to a new spot, I always want to treat my parents out to something. So I got this for them, and this was a really low price of $25. This is the Yes in a Word box set. This came out in like 2002. I've wanted this for years, and I just saw a copy, and my parents are huge, huge Yes fans, so I figured I'd get this for them and myself as well. Comes with 5 CDs. Get a nice booklet in here full of information. So that was my find for them. But in terms of vinyl, I saw this, and I remember it was sold out on Amazon for the longest time, and there was no way of telling if it would ever come back in stock, and then all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared. And I thought, this one may have slipped by the wayside, but when I saw a copy still sealed and for a decent price, I figured might as well. This is Brian Wilson, I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. This is the album, it's like the companion piece to the film that was made at the same time that was called I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. I believe this is all re-recorded stuff that Brian wrote within his time within the Beach Boys and his solo stuff. So you get things like Meant for You, This Whole World, Let the Wind Blow, like great, like deep cut, Beach Boy stuff. And then of course you get Caroline No, Do It Again, Wonderful, and then in terms of solo stuff, you also get Love and Mercy, and what else is here? Melt Away, Till I Die. I mean, this is just great Brian Wilson stuff. One of my favorite arrangers, songwriters, just absolute great stuff. Comes in a nice gatefold sleeve with all kinds of photos of Brian, and then some liner notes as well. And this as well comes on black vinyl with nice custom labels there. This was done by the Friday Music label, and this is one of the releases that came out on the label that was mastered by Kevin Gray, so I'm sure this is going to be a wonderful, delightful listen. So that was what I snagged at the Haddonfield Record Exchange, and then we just went back down the road past the first record store that we went to. We stopped at a little cafe called Groove Ground, which is a really cool kind of Starbucks-esque cafe, and they sell records too, and they actually take part in Record Store Day, but I didn't come across anything that I wanted there. So we were just walking the block, and I remember when I was at Fidelity, there was a guy that stopped in, and he had mentioned that he worked at a place called Collingswood Music, which is like a music instrument store and also a part record store. And he said, oh, it's right by this Wawa if you go down this block, and you kind of passed it. And I'm like, all right, so I mean, if I come across it, great. If not, I mean, next time I'm in the area, I'll take a look. So just out of curiosity, I searched it up in my GPS, and literally from where we were at the cafe, my friend and I just walked down that block, swung a left, and there it was. And so I figured, all right, so since we're here, why don't we just take a look and see what's there? So we open up the door, we walk in, and to my right is all the records. And they have like various guitars and bass guitars and organs and stuff. It was a really cool store. But the guy was like, are you guys looking for anything in particular? I saw this record on the wall. And you know how like at record stores, there's the valuable, like rare pressings up on the wall that are like, I guess you could say high value, but they're just noteworthy. I saw this on the wall and I went, holy shit. I had to have it. I had never seen a copy of this before, and I doubt that I ever would. And I went on Discogs just to see what it was going for, and it was going for the same price I ended up paying, which is still on the outer sleeve. This was just absolutely justifiable by all means, and I'm so glad that I have this in my collection. Brian Wilson Smile. This is the Brian Wilson edition of the album that he had started back in the mid-'60s with the Beach Boys, but then ended up just abandoning. A whole crazy story. It's definitely worth investigating. But basically, by 2003, he managed to finish his magnum opus, and honestly, this is the centerpiece of Brian Wilson's creativity. Now, the format of this album, it's like a 3-act sort of thing. Not sure if it would have been that way if it came out back in 67, but the final product is what it is. And look, you can even see the price tag there. That is what I paid, and I was very glad paying it because this is the sole U.S. pressing. I have no clue if this will ever get reissued, and for the longest time, I always thought to myself, maybe one day it'll, be reissued by some label, but one of those things, sight unseen, you snag it, and I'm very glad that I did. Comes in a very nice sort of, I don't know if you can say that's foil, like a nice foil sleeve there. And of course, like I said, it's a 3-act sort of album, so that takes up the first 3 sides, and then on the 4th side, you get some instrumentals of a couple of tracks. Heavy-duty cardstock sleeve, nice kind of like carnival-esque sort of gatefold cover there, which looks absolutely vibrant. And then we also have nice custom labels here. Very nice looking. And this is also pressed at RTI, and this was mastered by a guy named Don Grossinger. So, not too familiar with his work, but I suspect this would be a very nice listen. And also for the record, because I understand the Beach Boys put out a version of Smile, which is kind of based off of the format of this. I prefer this version a whole lot more. I didn't want to agree on that, but I do because it is complete and it's the full realized idea. Because when you listen to the Beach Boys version, that ended up coming out, I think it was in like 2011, you can see where things are missing and see where things kind of had to be manipulated to kind of fit with the concept and the flow. So that was just an absolute amazing find. And then I'm like, all right, so let's see what else they got. And I'm flipping through the Beatles section. And this series of albums is one that I really needed to start collecting because just, not that they're hard to come by, but like 99% of the time I always have to get it imported. And then once you start buying overseas from England or any other country, you start paying essentially for shipping the price that you're paying for the record itself. So like I saw this and I just knew I had to just get it for a kickstart because I do want to get these albums. This is the first installment of the Beatles Anthology. So this volume covers the like late 50s to 64. You get some recordings of the band as the Quarrymen, various demos, like there was their audition for Decca Records, studio outtakes, some live stuff. This is just a great historical piece. I mean, yeah, the quality of the recordings, it varies from beginning all the way to the end. But just from a historical standpoint, this is absolutely amazing. Comes in a nice triple gatefold sleeve here, and you have like liner notes talking about each of the tracks and various photos. It's a beautiful package. 3 LPs, and I'm not going to take them out because they're in paper sleeves and I don't want to potentially scuff them, but they do include the Apple labels. So this was a great find to find. And I thought that was it. And then we cross the block and we're walking down a bit, check out a couple of thrift stores and things, and then I see another record store and I'm like, crap, I already got all this. Let's see what they got. And I'd actually went to this record store once before because I don't really talk about it too much, but I do my own music and I try to get out to different areas to play. And I remember I did a gig at this cafe in Haddonfield and I had some time to kill, so I went to this record store. And so I figured, give it a shot, let's see what they get. And I was chit-chatting with the owners, very nice guys, and I had actually come across a Kiss bootleg. If you're an old school bootleg aficionado, you might be aware of this early Kiss bootleg called Kiss Destroys Anaheim, which is like one of the earliest Kiss bootlegs that ever came out back in like 77. And so they put it on in the store, we're listening to it, and just absolutely great stuff. I didn't buy it, unfortunately, but I do want to get it. It's a decent audience recording. It's not soundboard, but decent for what it is, and just a great timepiece. So we were listening to that, and I'm flipping through, and I came across this record, and Amazon prices are always going up and down, and there's no way of really knowing if it's going to be available steadily. So I just saw it with my own 2 eyes, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? This is an album that I actually personally really enjoy. And this is Nirvana from the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah. This came out in 1996. This was just a little after Kurt Cobain had passed. It's a live compilation, so there's all kinds of stuff from various shows, like I think from like late 80s, early 90s up into the present. It's a 2 LP set. Comes with the DGC label there. And you also get 2 really nice inserts. Let's take the other one out. There you go. There's some liner notes there. And then there's also a track-by-track breakdown of where everything was recorded. So just right off the bat, there was some stuff that was done over at... Let me take a look here. Anything notable? There's the MTV Live and Loud special that they did at Pier 48. Paramount Theater in Seattle, that's a big one, as well as the Astoria Theater in London in '89. So just all kinds of content from Nirvana's touring years, and a very nice live piece overall. Now, that's all that I bought for myself, but I do want to show this off because this is really, really cool. When we had gone in that whole Haddonfield Collingswood area, it was just a little bit before Mother's Day. And what the day that this video is uploaded is definitely after Mother's Day. I had yet to do Mother's Day shopping, and so I was trying to like stop in some like gift stores and just see if there was anything there that my mom would love. And while I was at the record store, I saw this, and I had seen a couple of records like this, and I asked the guys, and they were very nice about it. They were very cool, and I was like, listen, I don't want you to think that, I think that you're bullshitting me, but is this legit? And they're like, yes. Apparently, this lady was a big collector of these things and just wanted to get anything and everything. And then she just brought in her collection, and they were selling it piece by piece. And I actually have it framed. I haven't yet wrapped it up or prepared it or anything like that, but I do want to show it because it is rather cool. It is Phil Collins' Hello, I Must Be Going, signed by Phil Collins himself. With my mom being a huge Genesis and Phil Collins fan, I thought this would be a wonderful, wonderful gift to give. I'm only saying this kind of discreetly because I don't want her to overhear me say this, but she'll be very happy with this. So there you go. That is all the records that I picked up within Haddon Township here in New Jersey recently. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the record spinning.